Before I had a baby, I said I'm going to breastfeed my child for at least 2 years. I also said that I'm going to avoid formula and only breastfeed. And here we are today with a formula-fed baby. Things did not work out how I wanted them to, and I have come to terms with that, and today I'm going to talk about why I stopped breastfeeding. I really wanted to breastfeed for as long as my baby needs milk, but I didn't realize that it's not entirely up to me. If it was, I would still be breastfeeding, but he decided he did not want that anymore. So it wasn't my choice, but I did everything that I could to continue breastfeeding him, and it just didn't work out. And I've come to realize that that is okay. My baby is now 7 months old, and for 4 months of his life he was breastfed, and for the rest he is formula fed. So now I can compare the two, and I want to share some insights with you. I realized that for as long as your baby breastfeeds, that's fine. If you can get a few months in, if you can get a few weeks in, if you can get a few days in, that's great. Now, I thought that formula is the enemy and it can't even compare to breast milk. But formula is amazing, especially nowadays. The way they're formulated is pretty close to breast milk. Now, the reason breast milk is still superior is because breast milk will produce the antibodies that the baby needs in real time. Formula can't do that. So for example, if I get some kind of infection, bacteria, virus, whatever, my body is going to produce antibodies for myself, and then that will get transferred through the milk to the baby. That's incredible, and formula can't do that. When my baby was 3 months old, we went back home to Lithuania to visit the family, and everybody got a vomiting virus. It was pretty bad. The only person out of about 30 people who didn't get affected was my baby. And I believe that that was because of the breast milk, because the antibodies protected his body before he could get sick. My baby is now turning 8 months old, and he still hasn't been sick, so even while he was on formula, his immune system is just strong. And formula has all the nutrients that he needs, it just doesn't have the antibodies that he might need in the moment. When it comes to formula, I would definitely not go for the cheapest option if that's possible, because you want to go for a reputable brand. We live in Spain, and we researched for the best formula in Spain, and that's Almiron. All the doctors here recommend it, the internet recommends it, it's meant to be the best one, and that's the only formula that he has been on since he started formula. After learning that formula is not bad, I really don't mind giving him formula. However, it did take time for me to adjust to not being able to breastfeed him, because I really wanted to be breastfeeding him for his whole feeding journey. The reason he stopped to breastfeed was we were having a moment where he was just being fussy at the breast, and this is normal, but I was afraid of him not getting enough calories in the day, so we introduced a bottle to him. I wish we didn't do that, because he preferred the bottle because there's no letdown, he doesn't have to waste it, it's instant food. Gradually he started to prefer the bottle more and more, and because I didn't want him to starve, I was giving him the bottle. Then our routine kind of changed and my milk supply dropped. I tried to relactate. I made a whole YouTube video trying to relactate. I'm gonna put it here. And it worked. I got my milk supply back. But at that point, he was too used to the bottle, so I was pumping to give him my breast milk in a bottle. But eventually that became painful and I had to stop. It was quite hard to come to terms with that, because I expected to be breastfeeding him for a lot longer. And anytime I seen any content online or photos of women breastfeeding, it kind of made me feel sad. But now that I can compare the two of breastfeeding and formula feeding him, it's actually quite interesting. It is way easier to bottle feed because we travel a lot, we're outside a lot. And when I was breastfeeding, if it's cold, you need to spend time to find an indoor place where you can breastfeed. When you have a bottle ready in the bag, you just whip it out and you give it to the baby while he's in the pram. So it's a lot faster with bottles, which is just a plus. That wouldn't be a reason for me not to breastfeed, but I found it interesting that it's actually easier to bottle feed when I imagined it would be easier to just give the breast. When you're at home, it is easier to give the breast, but like I said, we are out a lot of the time. And sometimes when we're out, he's screaming because he's hungry, and I can instantly give him the bottle. And if I was breastfeeding, that wouldn't be the case. I would need to spend time to find an appropriate place for that. So yeah, this was a very interesting journey for me with a lot of realizations and insights. And whether you are breastfeeding or formula feeding, or you can or can't breastfeed, it's okay. What's important is that your baby is being fed and getting the calories he needs in the day. At the end of the day, that's all that matters.